Not only is it possible to engage in dropshipping in an already existing online store, but it is also necessary.
With this work scheme, you have no weekends, no sick days, and no holidays.
You don't need to do anything. It all works auto. You press buttons and your products are uploaded to the online store. And Shopify is specifically designed for creating online stores.
Yes. I know it sounds confusing.
Yes, that's why I'm going to ask you once again to explain it in simple terms.
The entrepreneur comes and buys the product from the dropshipping service. A dropshipping service essentially sells the product to the customer and then ships the product on behalf of the seller.
Can you do this via dropshipping? Can you trade worldwide?
Yes, they can if the dropshipping service can actually deliver to those countries.
Hi, you are listening to Drop the For Partners podcast of the International Dropshipping Service. In this podcast, we analyze strange comments from the internet and try to understand what dropshipping really is. Your hosts are Nadia Kulevic and Sasha Betro.
Hello, everyone. In this episode, we will talk about platforms where you can sell products via dropshipping. Let's talk about online stores, social networks, and marketplaces. And as per tradition, I suggest we start with the comments. The first one goes as follows. I have an online store. I sell pet products. Can I sell products via dropshipping in this same store? I want to try this model. Will it work?
Yes, but I like this question because it is very specific and the answer will be just as specific. We have already discussed online stores and mentioned that for those who have an online store, doing dropshipping is just perfect because having your own online store gives you several advantages right away. Firstly, you manage your online store. You can customize it as you like. You can set up a personal account. You can set up the cart. You can set up the catalog and design it in the style you want. In general, it is completely under your control, and that is great.
And the most important thing here is that you can use various marketing tricks. Like, for example, when you visit an online store and it says someone just added this item to their cart or someone just bought this item. In other words, online stores, so to speak, essentially create social proof that this is a good product and that it should be purchased, basically. They also imply that this product is in demand and could suddenly run out. Just like, sometimes it happens that there are only 2 items left. Buy now to get them in time.
Yes, and you can also set up artificial intelligence to give you recommendations based on your queries and purchases. And another important thing, why it's great to launch dropshipping in an already existing online store, is that even if it's a relatively new online store, it likely already has some audience.
So, essentially, when you add drop product listings to your online store, it's kind of an opportunity for you to interact with your audience on social networks, for example, to say that their sale, new collection, or a limited batch, or an exclusive model, like a limited edition, something like that.
Well, yes, in general, to answer the question, not only can you do dropshipping in an already existing online store, but you should. Sasha, read you another question. It goes like this. Tell me, the supplier provides the products in an XML feed. How do you even use it? I can't find where to insert it in my online store. Well, I think this can be figured out. The question is quite technical, but it is important because in principle, this is exactly what a dropshipper does.
Yes, let's start with what an XML feed actually is. The XML feed contains information about products, and some suppliers provide product information through an XML feed, which the online store owner needs to import or upload into their CMS. In fact, it doesn't matter which supplier you work with. Most of them use XML feeds, but they also use Excel spreadsheets or you can work with some of them via API.
And what is the difference between these three methods?
The main difference between these three methods is that with API and XML feed, you can set up automatic updates for the information in your product listings. Let's break it down with a specific example. You found a supplier, for instance, a dropshipping service. He provides you with product cards via API, so you connect your infrastructure, your online store, with the IT infrastructure of your supplier, and accordingly, the product information can be updated every 5 minutes, every 10 minutes. And what kind of information is this? This means the remaining stock. How many units of each product are left in the warehouse? And the current price. These two parameters are super important because, as an online store owner, you don't want to sell products that are out of stock, and you don't want to sell products at the wrong price. And the price can change due to the balance of supply and demand, or say, currency exchange rate differences. In general, for various reasons, when you work with an API, most likely the information about products in your online store will be automatically updated and overall kept up to date. Accordingly, when we talk about Excel spreadsheets, it is often purely manual work and tedious and time-consuming. So, you go to the website of your dropshipping service or dropshipping supplier, download the spreadsheet, upload this spreadsheet to your online store, yes, through the admin panel, and accordingly, the stock and prices are updated again. But with this work scheme, you don't have weekends, sick days, or holidays because you need to constantly, monotonously update the information in your online store every day. Do you understand what I mean?
Yes, I generally understand, but can you explain how XML fit differs from an API?
I would say that it is more about the CMS that actually accept this XML feed, because some CMSs, such as Shopify or WordPress, may not have, so to speak, the settings or the ability to update XML feeds on a regular basis. In other words, it might happen that if your CMS does not support automatic updating of XML feeds, you will need to manually upload this XML feed each time, similar to how you handle tables. And therefore, when you choose a supplier and when you choose a CMS to work with, you need to consider that, in general, it should have a function, including the automatic updating of these XML feeds.
Updates.
Since we started talking about CMS, I actually suggest we discuss the next comment. It sounds like this. I want to create an online store. Friends recommend Shopify and WordPress. Knowledgeable people, please advise where it is better to create an online store.
Yes, it seems like knowledgeable people responded because Shopify is indeed one of the most popular platforms for creating online stores, and it seems like it is specifically designed for dropshipping. Essentially, you can create an online store on it in literally a day. Everything works like a builder. You just configure the templates. You create a page or several pages in your online store, also set up the cart, personal account, in general, everything you need. And Shopify has plugins that allow you to set up a payment system, a mailer, if, for example, you want to send newsletters. And the coolest thing is that Shopify has plugins from dropshipping services that allow dropshippers to add products with just a couple of clicks. So you don't need to do anything, it all works automatically. You just press a couple of buttons and your products are uploaded to the online store.
Yes, for example, For Partners has its own plugin for Shopify. With it, you can choose any products from 7 million tautos from our entire catalog available at For Partners and add them to your online store in a few clicks. All product cards will load, all categories will load, and essentially you will have a ready-made online store. Basically, of course, there are plugins available from other dropshipping services. The only thing you need to check is how well the automation of data updates and transfers between your online store and the dropshipping service will work. For example, our plugin allows you to update stock levels, prices, and shipping costs in your online store daily or hourly, depending on your choice. It certainly has its limitations, but the most important thing is that it is modular enough and simple enough to get started quickly.
Okay, but the question also mentioned WordPress.
Well, if we are talking about WordPress, in my personal opinion, Shopify still works better than WordPress because Shopify has a set of free templates for your site. And Shopify's store for these modules that you can add is much more pleasant. Still, when you work with WordPress, you need a bit more, let's say, perhaps more development, meaning you might even need to hire a team or even a group to help you create your online store. With Shopify, everything is much easier. By the way, it's worth remembering that WordPress was originally a blog platform. What online stores do on it is just, well, it so happened that you can also create online stores on it.
Well, there are probably some makeshift customized solutions. But Shopify is specifically designed for creating online stores.
Yes, that's right. Personally, I always choose Shopify when I think about what platform to use for my online store.
Well, look, we mentioned two methods, Shopify and WordPress. I think you know some others.
Yes. Besides the fact that there are numerous other builders on the market where you can also create online stores and features, I would also look towards dropshipping services because some of them have their own CMS, which allows you to quickly create online stores that are initially integrated with these dropshipping services and functionalities. For example, For Partners has its own CMS on which we set up stores for our clients in just a few hours. The essence is as follows. This CMS is highly efficient and user-friendly, allowing us to quickly and effectively create and manage online stores for our clients. Clients come to us and say that they want to sell, for example, pet products. We take our entire catalog of pet products and create an online store around it. The client gives us recommendations on, for example, branding. They determine the markup on products for our entire catalog. And, in fact, considering this, we create a ready-made online store that can accept payments and process orders. Accordingly, when a customer buys a product from our client's online store, we immediately and accurately see all of the order information. This information is then promptly and efficiently transferred to the logistics department. The package starts being assembled, and ultimately it is shipped to the customer. Thus, customers absolutely don't need to do anything at all, effortlessly, without any hassle or worry whatsoever, for their package to be sent to their buyer.
Sasha, there's another comment that I think is important to address. What about marketplaces? Can I sell products via dropshipping on Amazon?
That's a very good question, and I understand why the person is asking it. The advantage of Amazon and other marketplaces such as eBay is that there are already people there, and there is already search traffic. I know that many people, instead of going to Google and searching for a specific product there, definitely go directly to Amazon or eBay, and absolutely, they undoubtedly find what they are looking for. They enter the specific name of what they need there, and generally, immediately try to find the product they are interested in. And for sellers, working on marketplaces is a great strategy because they get access to that traffic. To answer your question, yes, you can, but there are limitations. The first thing is that you, as the seller of the product, must be the owner of the product. And the second limitation is that the buyer should not see any third party. I know this sounds confusing.
Yes, that's why I will ask you once again, explain it in simple terms.
Well, let's first go through the first part, then the second. So, the seller needs to be the owner of the product. What does this mean? It means that when an entrepreneur works with a dropshipping service and wants to sell their products on Amazon, the entrepreneur needs to arrange with the dropshipping service to pack and essentially handle the documentation at the moment of order transfer. In essence, the dropshipping service first sells the product to the entrepreneur and only then ships it to the customer. That is, the entrepreneur comes and buys the product from the dropshipping service. The dropshipping service sort of sells the product to the customer and then ships the product on behalf of the seller.
Listen, it seems like the dropshipping service eventually becomes a delivery service.
Well, essentially, that's how it is, because the dropshipping service first sells the product to the seller and then takes that product and provides delivery services for that seller, delivering the product to the buyer. And thus, Amazon sees that the seller is a seller on Amazon, and the buyer sees that, in general, they bought the product from the seller, not from some other dropshipping service.
You also said that there should be no third parties. Could you explain a bit what you meant by that?
Yes, this Amazon restriction boils down to the fact that the buyer should not see any third parties associated with this order. In other words, the customer should have a single point of contact in case something happens with the product. That is, when the customer receives the product, there should be no indication or any information about the dropshipping service. But in reality, if an entrepreneur, who is also an Amazon store owner, works with a dropshipping service following this specific business model, the products are often repackaged meticulously and use the seller's personal details and name for branding purposes. So, generally speaking, there are no issues. You just need to make sure that dropshipping services can actually do this. And it is important to note here that not all dropshipping services agree to this, because it involves additional costs and processes that need to be maintained. So, when you choose a dropshipping service to work on Amazon, make sure to clarify that they can meet all of Amazon's requirements.
Well, look, I know that if you work with the classic model, Amazon takes care of the shipping, and in principle, most products are delivered by Amazon itself. But if you work with dropshipping, then who takes care of the shipping?
Well, first of all, you can still work with Amazon's fulfillment. In this case, the dropshipping service will deliver the package to the distribution warehouse, and from there, Amazon will deliver it to the customer. But you can also arrange with a dropshipping service to deliver the package directly to the customer. In this case, it is not necessary to work with Amazon fulfillment. As you correctly said, at some point a dropshipping service becomes a delivery service.
Well, Amazon also has local versions, meaning the US has its own, Germany has its own, and France has its own. And in the classic model, you can deliver from France to the US, for example. Can you do this via dropshipping? Can you trade worldwide?
Yes, they can, if the dropshipping service can actually deliver to those countries. In particular, for example, for partners, has warehouses not only in the USA but also in Germany and Latvia, so we can deliver products across Europe within 3 days. This is definitely an advantage because it offers fairly fast delivery and generally good prices. So, if you want to sell on local versions of Amazon, make sure your dropshipping service can arrange fast delivery.
By the way, it's strange, but we didn't find any comments regarding social networks, even though they are also a great platform for selling products. Either no one knows that it's a great platform, or they are simply not interested.
It's really strange because you can both advertise products and create some viral content there.
Yes, and in general, we also divide all social networks into two types. Those where you can directly sell and those that can be used just for publishing content, for showcasing your product.
Well, yes. For example, on Facebook, there is Facebook Marketplace. You can easily publish product cards there, set the price, and show the location where you are selling the product. These products can be advertised. For example, there is TikTok, which doesn't have a fully functional store feature, meaning it's not very straightforward. It kind of exists, but it's not available to everyone. And in general, TikTok is often used to essentially drive traffic to one's own online store. That is, online store owners, if they sell products via dropshipping, can create some viral cool content and, through their profile, direct people to their online store and offer specific products there.
Well, yes, in TikTok, the recommendation algorithm essentially decides what other platforms have recommendation algorithms.
Well, personally, I like Pinterest, particularly because Pinterest is a social network for women, as over 80% of its users are women. They create absolutely wonderful mood boards and collections. As an online store marketer or owner, you can create your own collections where you can include your products. For example, there are collections with kitchen designs and designs of which kitchen utensils are used. I know there is a dropshipping online store that sells home goods, and one of their promotion methods is creating cool collections and showcasing their products in different kitchen designs, and I know they are doing quite well with it.
Well, yes, in this sense, Instagram is also a great platform because it offers two options right away. First of all, you can publish content, and there are recommendation algorithms, for example, for the feed and for stories. Plus, there is a direct online store. It is limited and not available to all users. You need to go through additional moderation, but overall, it is also possible.
YouTube is very similar to Instagram in this regard because it also features visual content. Plus, you can create long videos with product reviews and tests. And actually, there are YouTube Shorts, which are roughly the same format as on TikTok and Instagram. The only thing is that it is quite difficult to transfer the audience from YouTube to your own website. Therefore, I would primarily consider YouTube as a platform for increasing brand awareness.
Well, by the way, you can also launch targeted ads on social networks, for example, on Instagram, Facebook, and even Twitter, so it's a great way to find and reach your audience. Suppose you sell pet products, you can set up targeting on Instagram based on the interests of pet owners, thus reaching and effectively promoting your product to your target audience. I think this is also a great method.
Yes. And to summarize this section about social networks in general, the most common way to utilize social networks is generally to drive traffic directly towards your own online store, because there are not many platforms where you can list your products and sell them directly like that. It's basically only Facebook Marketplace. You use other social networks primarily just as a means of driving traffic back over again towards your online store. And therefore, when we generally talk about our entire episode today and discuss on which platforms it is possible and necessary to sell products via dropshipping, we at For Partners always recommend creating your own online store. Because, as we talked about today, it is the opportunity to fully manage it, the opportunity to better convert traffic, and the opportunity to use social networks to attract additional traffic to your online store. Plus, as we have figured out, there are CMS platforms and online store builders that allow you to create your own online store literally in a day. There is For Partners, a dropshipping service that has its own CMS. We create stores even faster, which are fully integrated with our catalog and logistics. So in general, we recommend looking towards online stores.
It seems we have covered everything we wanted. Thank you for listening to or watching this podcast. In this episode, we discussed how to choose a platform for dropshipping. If you still have questions, maybe we missed something, be sure to write in the comments and join our chat on Telegram. There we have a community of dropshippers, suppliers, and manufacturers. We discuss cases, share specific examples, and answer questions. In general, it's a full-fledged community. So join us. The link will be in the comments.
This was For Partners. If you want to add dropshipping to your online store, if you want to sell products and expand your assortment, come to us, write to us on any social networks. We will help you, explain everything, show everything, and lead you to results.